The first thing you should know about my friend Mrs. Filholm is that she wears many hats, metaphorically. Some days Mrs. Filholm is a podcaster, other days she's a mother. She's also a potter, an author, a comic, a gardener, and an MC. Sometimes Mrs. Filholm is a friend to her former students. Other times she's an informant who snitches on those former students when they put themselves in real danger. Sometimes Mrs. Filholm is a Tasmanian devil, and other times she's a fairy godmother. The next thing you should know is that as Mrs. Filholm's friend and as her audience, you never know what you're going to get. She moves a mile a minute, and the best thing to do is just hold on.
The first thing you should know about my friend Andrew is that he doesn't appreciate truly fresh produce. When I pull a tomato or cucumber off the vine, newly ripened, warm from the sun, and bursting with flavor, Andrew rejects it. He looks at me like I'm crazy and asks me why I never wash my hands or anything. The next thing you should know about Andrew is that he rarely takes an unconsidered or errant stance. Gardens nowadays are covered with pesticides and other disgusting stuff. Never mind the incessant creatures and critters who crawl all over everything. Personally, I'm fighting squirrels for every red tomato, dodging wasps and bees when I water, and cleaning up evidence that birds have been making rather merry in my raised beds. Lucky for Andrew, the only thing standing between him and all the goodness is a rinse in the sink. And once the veggies are pickled or turned into salsa, nobody loves them more. It's harvest time at the dollhouse on Shakedown Street, Andrew, and my fridge is stocked with the carefully washed fruits of my summer labors.
Welcome to Half My Age, a weekly show in which a 25-year-old adult and a 50-year-old child help each other make sense of the world. Thank you. Thanks for washing all of those.
Got a jar of pickles right there. And you're open. I would just like to point out, you know what you're getting now? Because look how chill I am. Still chill. Still super aloha.
Yeah, you're still super aloha, but there,
Not going a mile
What
a
are you
minute.
today? Today you're actually an illustrator.
I'm an illustrator.
Yeah,
I'm
so
not
that's
going
not-
a mile a minute.
That's not even in the
I'm
open.
going the right amount of speed. Don't you feel like I'm more chill?
You definitely
You've
are more
hardly
chill.
seen me. I am more chill. Yep, but that's right. Today I'm an illustrator. I am working hardcore on a project, like with a lot of focus.
I can't wait for you to ship that project. It is so cool. I think people are going to love it.
I do too. Do you hear? I'm hearing like weird.
You just got fuzz in the background?
Is that real?
I have no
hell's
idea
that
if that's
coming
real.
from?
I've got a little bit of fuzz too, and I can't tell.
You want to stop and just play it back?
I guess so.
I want to make sure it's not
Actually,
there because that
hold
doesn't
on.
make sense.
It's my computer.
I wondered, is it your fan?
Give me just 1 minute, and
That's
I will. I'll figure out what's causing the noise, and I will.
Is it a
Stop it.
fan in your computer?
It is a fan in my computer.
My computer is getting really hot lately, like to the touch.
What are you doing on your computer? Can you say?
Design work
Yeah.
in like Pages or writing jokes, watching Amazon Prime things.
Mm-hmm.
Why would it matter?
Just curious.
Do some things make it hotter than other things?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Just the more processing power actually heats it up?
Yeah, the primary heat maker in your computer is the processor. So if you're doing something like editing video or maybe working on...
Sound. I mean, I got sound going usually in the background. I got our show that I'm editing and shit.
that could certainly cause your computer to get hot.
But I don't feel like my fan goes on like that in the background when I'm recording.
Yeah, mine...
Maybe
so
it should.
I've got some things running for different clients right now, and I'm just shutting them down. And I don't know.
guess that fan noise isn't bothersome to other people, but...
There's also... I've got some plugins where we may be able to strip it out if it does make it through to the final recording. But anyways...
When you say we, once again... No, you still touch the edit, don't you? Doesn't matter. Okay, hi, Andrew. You can cut all that. That's boring. But I really feel like I'm not going a mile a minute, but I am working on a new project. And I decided this week, we've spoken about it for most of the time that we've been making this podcast. I am creating the companion book to my book, Beyond Mama Bear, which is a jokey book in the style of a baby book, like Baby's First Steps, Milestones, a Keepsake Activity Journal. I'm not sure what the title is yet, and I'm not sure how to market that, but it's those words. It's a keepsake activity journal, preserve the memories of your child's adolescence, so it's jokey. So instead of Baby's First Steps and other first milestones, first time the baby rolled over, I've got a list of, first time they disowned you in public, and first misdemeanor, first traffic ticket, first really awful report card. So it's like that. It's a jokey little thing about parenting teenagers. It is right from my book. It's like distilled sort of the funny stuff and the pointers from my book. It will be also have little pages of advice, and the role models will be discussed. And I decided when I was on Maui that there was no reason that book should not be ready for Christmas. Like for a gift, which means it needs to be ready by October. And it's still pushing it. But in the days of turning this stuff around with direct publishing, it will be possible, I think. And then that gives me an occasion to reach out to all of my contacts ever for Beyond Mama Bear and go, hey, I have a new book and it's back in the bookstores and you should book me. It's a good occasion to reach out to every single person ever and go, by the way, you should buy my book for somebody for Christmas. Remember how funny it is? And also there's this companion book. So I realized on Maui that the only reason that isn't done is because it's not done, which is what I did with Beyond Mama Bear. And I just disciplined myself and got it done. And that's what I'm doing now. So I'm treating this little illustration book like it's my job.
You've made a ton of progress. And when I walked into the she shed today...
Don't...
I noticed all these pages hung up on the wall.
I know, it looks like crazy.
It's highly visual. It's super fun. It's part coloring book, part scrapbook, part whatever. It's gonna be a fun thing to have. And I almost wish that I had a teenager. Not really, just so that I could have a reason to own your book.
It's a good thing you can give to like your mom for Christmas. And it's snarky. I have to call it snarky or something like that. I will put adult content on the cover. But it is approachable, and I should think a quick little, I'll buy that for $10 when I'm checking out of a store. So it's got to have a attention-grabby title. I mean, I always thought that a book like this would be called Because Teenagers Suck.
Yeah.
Because I've got, business cards and stuff that say that, but I don't know that Teenagers Suck is really the book. I don't know. We'll workshop that. I thought about calling it Miserable Youth. I could see that being, but I'm not sure.
What if you went the other direction with the title and the cover of this, and you made it super official looking, kind of? I know you couldn't easily make it leather bound and whatever,
but right, it looked like keepsakes. You're right, yeah, to take it completely straight up. And I've been looking at covers like that, and they are. There is a lot of either leather bound or gold foil.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. I could do something. That's the style of the baby books that I'm mocking, is much more baby story, your story. And then, right, maybe in the subtitle will be a snarky journal for beleaguered parents. Or whatever. Yeah. You're right. It might be exactly that, rather than going in your face, obnoxious. The reason I'm thinking of that is that somebody gave me, upon my divorce, an adult coloring book. And again, I don't even like to color, but I love this book. And it is called Cheer the Fuck Up. And then she also has one like Calm the Fuck Down. And so it's these like, it's a great book. I mean, you can get that on Amazon. I'll put it in show notes, actually, because it is a very funny thing to give someone who is in a difficult time. It was gifted to me by one of my friends for my birthday, or right around, last October, where I was moving out of the house and experiencing really being a divorced person, and it's so awful. And it's a very, very funny book, and it's got motivational quotations that are tongue-in-cheek and, it's very funny. So it was kind of along those lines I was inspired to do it in the style of a coloring book, because I also thought in my mind, I had this companion book for Mama Bear that's more approachable and quippy. You don't have to sit down and read a whole book. I've had that in mind for a while, but in my mind it was very graphic and colorful, and that's just too expensive to produce. And I realized I could do this coloring book style, slam book style, that's really just a joke. Nobody's going to actually preserve their baby's first traffic ticket in this book. So it's a joke book, and I realized I could do it black and white, and then it becomes easy in production and affordable for me and for others. So that's my current project. But I got to tell you, what it means is shutting down a little bit of comedy. I'm going to take at least a few days off. I have cousins coming next week who want to see some comedy, and I'm okay. I'll go back and do it. But anyway, I'm going to take a few nights off, and that feels right and good right now, because I'm getting what I'm getting out of comedy, and I kind of, as I do my What Color Is Your Parachute book, Andrew, you have asked me, and I can now tell you straight up, I don't want to be a comic. I mean, I've said that straight up. I know that, but even more now, I know that is clear. I have no intention of being a stand-up comic to the point that I want to work that hustle and go up that ladder and that avenue. I do want to be a performer who does my shtick for an hour, and comedy has fed that, but I'm not going to get those gigs.
What made you decide that comedy was not the end goal?
Part of it is doing that what color is your parachute for real, and actually assessing what the hell are you doing and what is.
Is there like a
value?
question in there that says, do you want to go out at midnight every night or
no? It's like it's comparing those values, like I told you, and force ranking the things that feed you. And the other part is, honestly, was talking to another younger comic who I see as being quite brilliant, and he's moving up in the scene. He's really good. He's really good. You can see, and other people are starting to see he's new here. And it's like, who the hell is that kid? And what? He's like you. He's young like you, and seems way wiser than his years. And I asked him recently, just to his face, straight up, do you want to be a stand-up comic? Because he's also got some improv in his background and acting, and he's very pretty. He could be, a movie actor maybe. And I say, do you want to be a stand-up comic? And he says definitively, yes, that is what I think I want to do. That's what I want to do. That's the path I'm pursuing. And I went, cool. It's not.
That's
somehow,
not yours, yeah.
Right. Somehow hearing what you don't want or whatever, what others want, and going, that's not my path. Listen, comedy has been there for me as my boyfriend over this past almost year, and filling the gap of helping me be seen and heard and have a purpose and everything else. But the whole time I'm not sure what this is for. I do know what it's for, and it does make my mama bear shtick better. I also have thought lately I should probably get back into maybe some kind of after school teaching and stuff. And I could certainly do that with like improv. And a lot of younger comics and other people are sort of asking me about performing and stuff because they're interested in my theater background. And I go, I could teach you some stuff. I don't know what that means, but like maybe hold seminars or whatever. And so I go, okay, comedy helps with all of that. And I will continue to do it because it does sort of feed something in me. And the weird compulsion to be funny, it's intoxicating. I mean, for sure, I want to keep telling jokes and getting that feeling. But to be pretty clear, like, that's not the path, though, to where I want to go next. This book might be. So I'm prioritizing, and this is my job for now. I'm writing this book, and I'm dedicating myself to it like it's a job. I mean, you can see the studio is pretty cleared out. So there's not a lot of clay and other dirty things because now I'm illustrating paper, and that's a very clean process. And I've been doing it hours a day until it's done, but in
How do you decide when to go to bed at night? When you've got a long project like that is, multiple days, multiple weeks of work, when do you know you're done for the day?
That's hard for me. It's based on what's the next day, really. I would have stayed up another hour or two last night until a time that was insane.
But you had to come out to the she shed and see me. She said.
Damn it.
She said.
She sells seashells down by the seashore. Stop it. It's not a she shed. It's badass. Motherfucking shed.
Atelier.
It's an atelier and a studio, and look at the cool recording we're doing. How I decided to go to bed, that's always been a problem. I either set goals for myself, like number of pages, and then also understand that sometimes that gets jacked up a little bit at nighttime. I usually set a preferred bedtime for myself. I usually say by midnight, I'm going to head in.
Yeah.
And sometimes I break that rule.
I've been noticing in myself, I've got, I'll have streaks of productivity through the day, and it's unfortunate, but one of my most productive times is from 10 to midnight.
Golly, sing it, sister. I know. Is it really for you? That's interesting.
Sometimes. I'll be really good when I wake up, and from 7 to 9:30, I'm just cruising, and then I'll go take a walk or a run or whatever because it's fading. And then lunch happens, and then early afternoon, my mind is elsewhere. I want to be out on the motorcycle. I want to go on another walk or run. I just got to get out of the house because I've been there all day. And then I'm pretty much I'm not worthless, but I'm not in that mode of flow again until the evening. And that's frustrating to me because that's when Delaney's home, and she's not home often because she works her own job and she's got dance in the evenings. But it's kind of inconvenient, and I've been trying to.
Which part is inconvenient? That between 10 and midnight she is home, and you should be
No, that moment is when my body wants to work.
Yeah, at 10 o'clock at night, because you should be hanging out with your girlfriend and go to bed and stuff.
Absolutely. And during that's the other thing is if I am productive during that time, I don't want to wake up for my morning 7 to 9 productivity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and okay, so the time that you are not, see, it kind of seems awesome, except for the fact that Delaney's doing dance, I guess, because what you're saying is that to my mind, after work and the dinner hour is when your mind isn't in work mode or productivity mode. That's awesome. You can hang out with the family and cook the dinner and, right?
I think
the problem is that the turning on at 10 o'clock at night. Well, does Delaney go to bed at 10 o'clock at night?
kind of.
Because that's what, I mean, that is a very familiar pattern to me when I lived with other people, but partly that's from being a mother, was get everybody to bed. And then
maybe this will serve me well.
Yeah.
When I got some kids floating
oh
around.
yeah, right. You put everybody to bed. I mean, I still do midnight gardening, and that is really a holdover from when the hell else am I going to do it? Kids are in bed 10 o'clock at night. Awesome. Now it's my time. It's mommy
What's the
time.
garden look like in the middle of the night? Is there more insect activity? Is there less?
Nope, everybody's asleep.
Everybody's asleep.
Yep,
That
everybody's
seems
asleep.
ideal.
Yep, and the earth receives water very well when it's cool. I've been doing it lately also because that's when I get home from comedy and I gotta flood this garden a little bit.
That's quiet, so you're not disturbing your neighbors.
Rafiki has called me out. She once said to me, "Were you picking raspberries at 3 o'clock in the morning?" And I was. So that was a little different because I actually had woken up and couldn't sleep and I was fretting about something and I went, I need to do some gardening anyway. And I was picking raspberries. Hey, let's talk about my produce. I just dropped you off a jar full of pickles.
You gave me a Pinterest-worthy
Isn't it?
jar of pickles.
Gorgeous.
Tell me what's in here, because it's more than just cucumbers.
Oh, yeah, I
see
think
some
I gave you some
tomatoes.
little green tomatoes because they were coming off the vine. Oh, I knocked a bunch of green tomatoes off the vine, moving vines around and restaking. You cannot, I am so...
Is that all it is
I think
tomatoes
so.
and cucumbers?
I think so. And then what you're seeing in there is like a piece of garlic and the dill and mustard seeds floating around in there. These are a little bit sweet and a little bit spicy. They'll be like dilly beans or something like that.
Dilly beans?
Do you know what those are? That's a brand name of some really nice pickled green beans. So those are a little bit sweet and spicy, not just straight up dill pickles.
I look forward to it. I love a pickle.
I know you do.
I love a pickle, and pickles, among other things, are part of that hipster food movement, right? Homegrown. It's a thing again.
A lot of fermenting going on, which I'm not messing with it.
I'm into it right now.
Okay, I'm going to hear about but I don't mess with fermenting. Andrew, go
Why not?
ahead. Tell. Because of explosions.
Explosions. You're that concerned about explosions?
Yeah. If I'm pickling shit,
why don't
what
you
I
just
make
leave
I make is refrigerator pickles, okay? I'm just going to tell you. Those need to stay in the fridge. They're delicious. They're perfect. I'm not doing it this year any actual real canning where I'm sterilizing. Also that. Botulism. When you get into canning and fermenting, it's like for real science. This is a this is a refrigerator pickle, and I've made refrigerator salsa, which is delicious, but it's going to spoil within a week. So that's how I'm doing it, and I am doing it out of necessity because I keep bringing in produce. I am so delighted by the number of tomatoes and cucumbers I have growing out here. It's insane, and I really am fighting off the squirrels. As soon as something turns red, tomato, that's when the squirrels come and get it. It's amazing. They have been leaving all the green produce alone. As soon as something turns red, it's a fight between the squirrels and me. All right, tell me about your fermenting.
So,
This is a weird.
going back a couple months, I learned that Delaney has a family tradition on her mom's side where they make bread, and they have their own kind of bread starter for this bread. And
Sourdough bread.
it's not sourdough. I mean, it probably is, but it's different. This bread that they're making, I think, in my Googling, it's more akin to something called Amish Friendship bread. And the sourdough starter, like when I watch videos of sourdough starter, it's a very thick, goopy stuff. And this Amish Friendship bread, it's still yeast in a pickle jar, but it's very soupy. And you don't feed it with flour, you feed it with potato flakes and sugar.
Have you been making the Amish Friendship bread?
So we just got last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, from Delaney's sister, some of this family starter.
Okay.
And Delaney's dad had it out, in Tennessee, and he brought some back. And now the sister's making the bread, and we're supposed to be making the bread too.
Okay.
And every week you go and you give this thing like a third of a cup of potato flakes and half a cup of sugar or something like that. I don't know if that's the exact recipe. And it gurgles and bubbles, and you're supposed to make the bread. Right? So this coming weekend will be our first weekend making the bread, and I'm excited. But I was also super interested. I can't take a project like this without doing a little research. I got to know everything there is to know about this dumb friendship bread. So I sat down and I walked down the sourdough rabbit hole. And I was super interested in it because that's when I was at DU, I took a food class. and it was all about slow food and that sort of thing. And the professor was very big on the traditions of food. And this whole starter being passed from one person to the other. It's an exciting thing, and I like the idea of a tradition.
I love it.
Maybe that's why I like the idea of Catholicism, is because there's so much tradition. But anyways, I'm looking at this, and I figure out that you can make your own sourdough starter. You just take flour and water and leave it out overnight, and then do the same thing for 7 days, and eventually you've got this bubbling, gurgling thing to make bread with every day.
How's your starter?
It's looking pretty good. So I'm on day 3 right now. After day 1, there wasn't a whole lot of change. Day 2,
what container are you using? What do you got in it?
Just a big quart mason jar.
Mason jar, okay.
Yep. And I'm doing...
but see, that's non-reactive glass. You can fuck up by putting it in metal.
Yeah, I'm not.
I know you're not. You asked
there,
me why I'm afraid of fermenting things. I'm just saying there's a lot of ways for it to go wrong.
Well, so you see that as a lot of opportunity for error. But I see it as, like, all of these, canning in particular is something where the instructions are very clear.
Yeah.
Boil it for this long at this temperature. As long as I've got those guardrails in place, someone telling me exactly how it needs to be done, I'm not fearful at all. I think canning and fermentation is super cool and fun.
I agree, and also that is why you will always like cooking, because it's always true. Just follow the damn rules. I mean, the recipes. I don't cook like that anymore, as we have talked about. Except when I need to. I mean, something like that, I would absolutely follow a recipe to the letter. And baking, you have to, because it's chemistry. I'm telling you that friends of mine who are seasoned in the produce area, like they own bees and farms, and they are seasoned in canning, I am telling you, I have seen blow-ups in kitchen and salsa all up on the ceiling.
Sure.
I'm just saying. Also, I think that you enjoy the danger factor, and I feel like it's a pain in the ass. And the fewer times I have to clean my kitchen for the rest of my life, the better. I'm trying to keep the number down. So I don't want to ferment anything. I love that you're making sourdough. I totally grew up like that. Absolutely sharing sourdough starter from state to state, auntie to auntie, giving it to people. It's a funny little thing. It's rejoice, rejoice. It is a living organism.
What's that saying? Rejoice, rejoice.
It is a living beverage. That's back from
right.
kombucha. Which is also such a trendy little hipster craze.
Also fermented.
Correct. And also could blow up. If you ever start brewing your own kombucha, you're not going to. Delaney wouldn't allow it. It's so gross.
I'm not into the whole kombucha thing.
I don't even like it.
I don't either.
Okay. So I love that you're fermenting. I love that you're making a sourdough starter. Obviously, you're going to bring me one, right?
Duh.
Okay. Have you ever baked bread before?
I've never made any bread. When I was a kid, I remember Mom went through like a little phase where she had a bread machine and she'd bake bread.
Boo. Bread machine, no.
A couple times a week. I don't know. I was young. I was super young. And she was a mother with young kids at home. She was busy. Anyways, that's the extent of my experience with baking bread.
Yeah, I don't mean to disparage bread machines. You're right. And I'm sure it is yummier. I just always feel it's like throwing stuff into a machine. There's not the hand kneading so much. And I baked bread a lot. As a teenager, weirdly, 12, 13 years old, I'll bet you, I read an entire couple of cookbooks on how to bake bread. I really considered myself something of a wizard at it, which, by the way, it's hard here at Elevation. It's not the same as it is elsewhere.
I'm interested to see how that affects.
The sourdough doesn't seem to be as affected. It's a white bread, and the white flour that you're going to use, is less finicky than like a nice, wholesome, whole grain bread. It's hard. It's hard in Colorado to get things. You could do it, right? But there are adaptations. I mean, there are bread companies and bakeries here, but there are adaptations. It really is a different thing cooking at altitude, baking at altitude, baking bread at altitude. Sourdough, though, I think is kind of an almost quick bread. Do you have to knead it?
You do have to knead it. So I've been watching. This is the magic of YouTube. I don't know how I would possibly get this right without YouTube, but the process of kneading and shaping your sourdough seems like there is a lot of opportunity to go wrong. And if you read a recipe, it's pull the bread towards you and squish and smush, and it's like how
videos. That's so interesting.
You can, and
I was thinking about that when you were talking about going down the rabbit hole of sourdough at all. What a weird, different experience we have of the planet, you and I. Because how do you learn how to knead bread at your grandmother's elbow, right? I mean, it's one of the oldest things I know from my mother, from my grandmother's, literally learning how to bake from my grandma's. Also, I did 4-H. I mean, I was so raised like that, as we have talked about. I was so raised like these are the domestic skills that you need to know. Canning and bread making did not seem super quaint. Even as I was growing up, which they probably were. I mean, probably I had that rural upbringing. This was the 80s. We were definitely away from slow food. I mean, you can look at that. That's a known thing, right? We were into preservatives and fast food and everything sugar. I mean, the diet in America changed. So we were probably a little bit weird. But that's just funny to me. Like it's very interesting, our different experiences that of course you can learn that via YouTube, and how pleasant to see a video that you can learn anything, but also how sad when you're going, however would I know how to knead bread? Like, well, I would have taught you.
There's nothing sad about it, because the next thing I watched after the sourdough stuff was this fantastic Knife Skillz video.
Skills. Okay.
Hosted by it's a young guy with a food channel. But he had Jacques Pepin on to teach knife skills, and I think Jacques is like 84 or something, and he's got the patience of a grandfather, and he's got all the techniques.
Is this a Salt Bae kind of guy? Is it one of those hot video cooking guys?
Jacques Pepin?
No.
The other guy? No, he's the opposite of Salt Bae.
Salt Bae cracks me up.
Kind of awkward and kind of goofy. And he's got this food channel.
Oh, yeah.
And he's not particularly good with his knife. So he's learning right there with us, which is comforting.
That's cute.
It is a very sweet video, and it's a half hour long, but I didn't feel like I never got bored in it,
And now you're practicing knife skills?
So last night I went to the Bed Bath & Beyond, and I dropped some dough. I got a new chef's knife.
Not sourdough, though.
I got a new, it's halfway in between a chef's knife and a paring knife. I don't know what it's called, but it's a little bit thinner than a chef's knife and a little bit shorter. It's not a fillet knife. I don't know. Anyways, I got one of those, and then I got 2 new paring knives, and I got some stainless steel mixing bowls, and I got a cooling rack. I went on a tear last night.
You didn't want any things, and now you have all the things. It's hilarious.
Now I've got a full kitchen. Like we've always had everything you need, and sometimes you have to make something else work. Is something you have to get creative with how you use your kitchen tools.
Yeah.
But yesterday I'm like, it's time to have a full kitchen.
I wonder if it's just like literally age, right?
Right.
And time of life. Because remember, I mean, for real, you didn't want a microwave or a shower rod.
I think you could have
3 years ago
me that I wanted knives at the time, but they seem so expensive and unattainable.
I remember talking to you about knives because I bought knives from your brother when he was doing that racket, and they're good knives, by the way. And I remember, and you actually told me at the time you weren't buying those knives because you were saving up for when you were going to get knives. You were going to get the gold standard of all of the knives. You had a knife set in mind, which was just purely bougie and aspirational.
And that's not what I bought, by the way.
Because then you realize $500 for one knife is maybe stupid. I love that you are I love that you're filling your kitchen like a domesticated person should at your age. Is very funny to me. Freaking funny. Cooling racks. Because remember my kitchen back in the day at the old house? I had such a full-on mom kitchen. Less here. I have fewer things here. I do. I'm not sure I have cooling racks here at the dollhouse. I do have cooling racks. I can still. But, okay. Anyway, it's very funny to me. I just had to pause and appreciate it that now you have all the kitchen things and that you like Bed Bath & Beyond. It's funny because
I don't like Bed Bath & Beyond.
Really?
I hate that store.
Okay, I'm with you.
It's any store you walk into that's scented. Ugh, I hate that.
Oh.
And it's not, there's one thing if you walk into a stationery store and it smells like paper, that's okay. But when you walk into a Bed Bath & Beyond and it smells like candles or it smells like...
Are they pumping that through, or is it just ambient scent because they sell candles?
I think they're pumping. I don't know.
How can you even smell that? You can't smell it. That's interesting that's what bumps you. I don't even notice that. I would never have said that about. What I was thinking you were going to say is anytime you walk into a store and I could think of 10 other ways to end that sentence with things I don't like about Bed Bath & Beyond, but I didn't think about the smell. And that's funny because you normally don't
That's
smell
the first thing I notice.
Huh.
And that's probably, you say I don't normally smell things, and that's probably part of it, is that smell is so overwhelming. It breaks through the gates of
Okay, now can we just, though, talk about you becoming a freaking knife skills master, because also that's amazing, and it seems like a boy thing.
Right? I want to go to Costco or Sam's, and I want to get a ginormous bag of onions and just cut them in all the different ways.
All right, that seems fun.
It does seem fun. It seems so much fun,
I could see
with my new knives.
Yeah, I could see being competitive with that even. Listen, learning good knife skills, it's not that I didn't learn. Again, like 4-H. I mean, I learned, and I don't hold a knife the exact right way when I cut an onion. I do that kind of cheaty thing. But I learned how to hold a knife, and I learned how to hold a hammer, right? We learned how to use tools growing up. But the idea of knife skills, I also had one time, a friend of ours, we bought a side of beef or something, and he came over, and he grew up as a butcher. His family were butchers, and he came over and with his knives, like unwrapped his knives and cut this and cut all the steaks out and everything. And I remember just like watching this, like that was truly poetry in motion. He was a butcher, he was trained. And I remember asking him, does your son know how to do this? Our kids were 13 at the time or something. He goes, no, my son doesn't have to learn how to cut meat. And it was funny because he grew up as a butcher's son, and something about that was whatever. He wanted past that. He wanted a corporate job. His kid could be a doctor or a lawyer.
Having those skills never made him particularly joyful.
I think that's right. And I'm going, your kid should know how to do this because this is masterful. You're standing over our kitchen sink cutting up a side of beef like a pro, and it's very cool. And identifying, the parts of the veins and the whatever, the stuff you cut out of meat. Anyway.
A butcher's not that different from a doctor when you think about it.
Is that my freaking phone right now going off?
Must be. It's not mine. Where is it? That's kind of funny.
This is not the first time it's happened. It's right there. Why do I have an alarm at 10 o'clock for Brick House on Thursdays? Well, it's gone off before, and I haven't changed it.
For entertainment purposes.
I guess that's like the third time it's happened, and I still haven't gone, okay, I'm going to go and unset that. My phone, I guess I didn't have my phone plugged in overnight because I woke up this morning. Oh, I just snoozed it too. So in 8 minutes and 44 seconds, we can hear Brick House again. I'm going to go shut that off. Why? That's weird that I have that set and I don't remember setting it. Okay. Anyway, I didn't plug in my phone overnight. So when you arrived and I looked at my phone, it told me low battery. It's weird.
The break that your phone just gave me, I was thinking, I guess I'm really into DIY in general right now. This last weekend, I changed my oil on my motorcycle.
You were talking about it, and you're gonna make your own motorcycle kickstand.
Right. Everything shop right now seems like an opportunity, and maybe it's going out on my own and starting my own business. It's given me a sense of empowerment.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's not a lot I can't do, and there's not a lot I'm not interested in trying to do.
I love it. I mean, you're singing my song.
Maybe I don't keep this sourdough starter alive forever. But knowing how it's done and that it can be done is something I'm really interested in.
You're gonna love it. You can make sourdough bread, and like people love receiving bread.
And that's one of those things you can have refrigerator sourdough. You can do that thing once a week, or you could do it every day. I could throw loaves at my neighbors once a day.
Oh, you really could. Loaves and fishes. I mean, they love you. You can make little small loaves for Christmas gifts. You're singing my song. Obviously, same thing. I'm harvesting all these tomatoes and going, I literally can't eat all these tomatoes, don't even want to eat all these tomatoes. What can I do? I made all the pickles. I'm probably not even going to eat many of those pickles, but I do love giving them to people. It's delightful. I love exchanging produce with my neighbors. I've been doing some of that. They brought me some more eggs. I gave them tomatoes. I needed a jalapeno pepper. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that these people have them in their garden, and they sure did. So that's delightful. I love it, and it feels so much like the time you're putting up the harvest, and you're making bread, and you're battening down the hatches as fall comes. It does feel a little bit of fall in the air lately, which I appreciate. Have you felt it? You must have felt it. It's part of your instinct to make bread and stuff. Thank God, it's been cooler.
Oh, yeah, it's been good.
I'm happy for fall to come, which is unusual. Usually I get real freaked out. It's because of all the aloha I'm carrying from the inside, Andrew. You know what? The seasons will change, and I will ride right along like a honu on the current. I'm so friggin' chill. You can't bump me anymore. You can't do it. You were making sourdough starter. You're learning knife skills.
I'm doing all my own motorcycle repairs.
Okay, right. I just want to picture for a moment like you with that bag of onions. Choppity chop, chop, chop. And I prefer to think about it like while Delaney's gone, and that is your non-productive time of the night. You can't work on your code, so you're just going to chop up some knives. And then are you going to do tricks like throw them up in the air and stuff?
I don't think so. But that's like another thing. Once you get your knife skills down, then you've got to get like a hibachi set up so you can do the shrimp in the pocket.
Exactly. That's what I was just thinking. What's it called? Benihana chef. I mean, I could see you developing that kind of a knife skill. That's funny. I've
been really walking down this food rabbit hole, and I learned that a chef's hat exactly 100 pleats in it, which represent the 100 ways you can cook an egg. Talk about tradition.
I don't.
You don't believe it?
No, that sounds like urban legend.
It could be. It could be. It came from
100
Twitter. You know, everything on Twitter is true.
Sure. Okay. I don't. How many beads are there in a Catholic rosary, Andrew?
I don't know, but there's
they represent the number of ways you can make an egg. So we just want to avoid that. How many stitches on a baseball? Same thing. Okay. Oh my God, you were going down these rabbit holes. I don't. Do you sit and watch the videos?
No, not really.
You have them on?
Right. So I'll kick off my code job, and it'll run for 5 or 10 minutes or whatever. So I'll put it on in the background.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now help me, because that I was speaking with you off air this morning. One of the things that I'm having trouble with is that background thing. I've talked about it on this podcast before. One thing that I have for years that worked for me, like when I need background music, something that doesn't bum me out, doesn't teach me too much, doesn't inspire me too much. Parks and Rec. I could run it in the background and did like while I wrote my book. Now I'm doing this illustrating thing where I can have video content on the background. Lately, when I've been doing videos or computer content, I can only have podcasts in my ear. I'm also like sort of getting to the dregs of what podcasts do it for me now. So I'm open to new podcast suggestions, but also video suggestions, and that might be it. Maybe I need to do some YouTube rabbit holing. I have never done it.
I got a recommendation for you, and it just came up where I ran into someone, and he said that his dream job was to be Rick Steves. That seems like the perfect, like, happy background.
Not.
No, why not?
I hate it, because he's in places I'm not. And I don't get to go there. It just makes me mad. I've thought about that because there's Rick Steves comes up on even Netflix or whatever. No.
So happy.
No, so happy, but he's in cool places and I'm not. I don't want to watch other people's travel. I really don't ever. And I also don't like Anthony Bourdain for that. Like, whatever. I mean, no, that makes me sad that I'm not off traveling. I could try it. I mean, Rick Steves, my father used to love Rick Steves. He watched it on PBS.
I think that's right in the generation. My grandfather loves Rick Steves. My parents both love Rick Steves.
I mean, I love him. And if I'm going to go a place, I will totally look at Rick Steves' stuff. I do love him. But I'm not kidding. That just bums me out. If he's at a museum and I'm going, I just want to be at that museum. That was not very aloha, how upset I got about that.
That wasn't very aloha. That was the opposite turtle.
So but let's talk about YouTube. I'm not kidding. When I look up stuff on YouTube, let's see, what did I recently look up? How to fix things. Mm-hmm. Toilet seat. I like my air conditioning unit that I brought home, and the instructions were maddening to me, so I found a YouTube guy, right? Mm-hmm. Putting together things out of boxes. That's very helpful to me. But then I shut it off. And I scrub it. I want to go to the information. Right. I don't want their whole story.
You're using it as reference material.
Correct. And that's what I think it's for. But I know, and you've talked about it a lot, and I know my boys do it, and I know the kids do it, like putting on a thing and just letting it go. Mm-hmm. YouTube.
That's because you're using it as reference material and we're using it as entertainment.
I know. And now I'm thinking maybe I could do that. Maybe I pick a thing on YouTube and just let it go and see where it takes me. Like knife skills.
So I can recommend a couple things that a couple rabbit holes you may be interested in exploring. The first one is a guy named Alex. He's in France, and his channel is called French Guy Cooking.
You told me about him.
Super good production quality, very interesting, and he does like little video series.
Yeah, we talked about it. And he does he finds how to make the perfect sourdough, right? Right,
and he's got 3 videos on sourdough, and I was also watching his videos on. He made his own wok or whatever, or he had the special burner you use for a wok. Mm-hmm. I watched that. That was a few videos. That was super entertaining, and he kind of. If you were ever into Alton Brown on Food Network and Good Eats, which is back now, by the way, Good Eats Reloaded, but he's good about giving you the science and why things work the way they do.
What does Good Eats Reloaded mean?
Good Eats was the old show, and now there's a new version of it back on the air, new episodes, and the first one came out last Sunday.
On the television?
On the television. The initial episode, I think they posted it on YouTube too, so you can watch the whole thing. It was on Chicken Parm. It was super good too. I
do like Alton Brown.
I like him a lot.
I do too.
And the other rabbit hole I can recommend is a machining. And there's a guy named This Old Tony. That's his channel name.
Okay.
And he's just got these goofy one-liner jokes, and it's not so much about machining as it is just his goofy whatever. And these videos are so entertaining. You wouldn't believe that people are producing this quality video that's this funny on a regular schedule in their garage.
Really? It's good?
It's really good.
Because you know how much I love dad jokes, and one-liners don't. Doesn't sound good to me, but I'll try it. Okay.
That's not very Honu.
I know. I mean, I'll try it. I
like
just said I'll try it. No. Okay, I will try it.
Try both of those and let me know what you think.
I will. But the thing I think about the food is that I am still in a real problematic phase of life. I do not want to eat food.
Mm-hmm.
It really makes me angry every single day. So I'll be out here working away on my book, my last few days, right? And nothing pisses me off more than, that's hunger. That's hunger rumbling. Oh, crap. Now I'm going to have to put something down and deal with feeding my stupid body what it needs, just nourish. I am so resentful all day long. I wish I could eat one food for the rest of my life.
Right. We had talked about Soylent, and I've tried it out. Had you ever tried it?
You gave me some. It's gross. I mean, I did have Soylent, and it just kind of stuck around in my closet, but that I don't know, man.
It's gone through a couple iterations since then.
I think now you can buy it, like just drink it.
Yeah, they sell bottles, and they've also got flavors now.
Yeah. I don't know if that's what I really need. My point is just that it's very interesting. However, what I have realized is it's not, I don't mind eating food with other people. Something about it is being alone. Something about this is I'm living alone, and there's something funny about that going on there. And it's not unusual for me in times, especially I think of as like stress or anxiety or busyness, to just feel like annoyed by having to nourish my body. That feels like something old and true about me. But I just noticed that lately, it's not hard to eat food with other people. And there have even been times when I have said, hey, do you want to meet me for dinner before comedy or whatever? Because I realized then I'm going to freaking nourish myself because I'm with another person. That's a little weird. And I think that's just a little bit still I'm in the...
That doesn't sound weird. That sounds normal. It's, the different times of year people notice they're lonely, like Christmas and that sort of thing. I feel like meal times is one of those things.
Might be. I don't know for sure that I'm lonely, but that does occur to me. Yep. It's funny.
Well, it's a weird... It's not nice to laugh about, but you just did this funny thing where you're like, I notice I don't mind eating with other people. And you just started crying at what seemed like a very benign thing.
I know. Well, and I've realized that, I don't know, yesterday, yesterday felt like a hard day. There is a certain amount of relief and chill in this, what I'm about to say, but it is also very sad. Very soon here, especially by the time this episode comes out, we are moving my father into memory care, and that is absolutely what needs to happen. And I've been begging for it to happen for a long time, like rallying the universe for it, because my mom needs to take better care of herself and all of that. But there's a certain relief and acceptance of it that is great, but it is also now just super sad. And I think it somehow is conflated in my mind with being alone. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've talked about it a little bit with my security system, realizing that sometimes I need a friggin' handyman, and then it makes me sad that it can't be my daddy, but my dad's not dead. He's still here. So anyway, somehow this week I have felt that sadness. I was also trying to do jokes about Alzheimer's disease. Mm-hmm. I was determined to do some jokes about it, and they weren't terrible. I wrote a set, and I did it several times, but I think actually too soon. We've talked about too soon. Too soon for me, because I woke up the other night, I made myself do the Alzheimer's set, and I kept saying, I even said on stage, like, God damn it, you guys have got to help me find ways to make this funny. And it's not very funny yet. And I think what I learned is stop trying to do that. I was like, well, this is good for me. This is how I process it. Too soon. It's not funny, and it makes me feel sad, and it makes me feel alone, I guess, somehow. And so, yeah, lately, I don't know exactly that I'm feeling lonely, but there are moments, maybe eating, and there is some measure of acceptance that we are saying goodbye to my father, which we've been doing for a long time, but there is some amount of finality to it that is making me feel pretty freaking, vulnerable. And crying in the middle of sentences. Sometimes I don't realize that I only eat with other people. Anyway, so there's that. I'm just saying that the reason, maybe food videos in the background are ironical for me because I don't eat. And I don't want to cook unless I'm cooking for other people. And then when it comes right down to it, I go, well, do I want to have other people over? No, if I do, I don't want to cook for them. The truth is, right now in my life, I've got so many other, I want people to come over and do clay. I've got a guy coming over who bucket list through pottery. He'd never done it before, always wanted. I met him and said, I've got this thing, knew his girlfriend, and she's like, go do it. So he's coming over today to glaze his pots. People come over. I want them to have a party here. I want to sit on the west portico. I want to do a lot of things, but I don't particularly want to cook food for them right now. Also, it's been hot. I want to cook less in the summers. I definitely get into canning and baking and stuff as the weather cools down. Anyway, that's a lot of things.
That is a lot. I got to believe that this getting your father into the memory care thing is a huge milestone. Is there, I mean, not in a good way, but kind of in a good way in that it's been really hard on your family, you know, who's taking care of Dad. Is there any relief in that?
Yeah, there's definitely relief because like I said, it has to happen. I've been railing against the universe for it for 3 years. It's been like, Mom, this is too much for you. It's not safe. I mean, I've been very worried, like losing sleep over my parents just because he's too much to handle and too much for my mom. And she doesn't have a quality of life. And she has not gotten to the place of admitting, it's so heartbreaking for her. She feels guilty. She shouldn't. It's okay. It's what has to happen. He has to be taken care of now. He's not my dad. I mean, it's just the finality of it is very sad. But yes, there is relief. There's relief for me. I'm not kidding. I think that's why the tears are so right there about this, and trying to make jokes about it is part of my attempt to accept it. It's absolutely what has to happen, but it is also, I mean, my mother's saying goodbye to her, life mate.
Sure, and they've lived together for Lord knows how many years, And
knowing that, I mean, he's not going to get better. And you'd put somebody in a memory care unit, they're not very happy places. He's not going to go there and thrive. He's just not. And we don't need him to. It's dark, man. It's dark. It's dark. Yes, it is a relief. We can all go and see him when he's in there to the degree that whatever we need to, but it will be different and it will be sad, but it will also be a relief. I mean, I've been fighting my mom and it's been crazy making for 3 years going unacceptable. You need help. This is the help she has chosen to get. The timing is more than right. I know that my mom feels so guilty and is going to be so sad. She feels guilty about the money. That's the other thing. It's going to cost a lot of money. Care like that is expensive, and I mean, it's a dark thing to say. I've said it in various ways, probably right here before. I don't know what his life is for. He does not get much pleasure out of his life and doesn't give the people around him much joy anymore. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. Like, that is, and I need to just admit that I don't get it and accept that. Aloha, and I sure do try to find some chill and peace about it. The peace is that this is the right thing to do. Like I said, there's a great relief. There is a letdown, I think, in my mind that is actually making me sad, but it's because that's appropriate. I should feel sad. That's an appropriate feeling. For the past 3 years, I think I have felt anxious and angry and crazy and like a Greek character in a Greek play, with sort of like a bad prophet, like screaming to the universe, this is what should happen. I can see it. Why are we not making the right choices?
Right.
And now...
It's a good way to put it. I like that that metaphor, simile.
I've felt like that for 3 years. I've been saying that, like, or like being a character in a horror movie, because it's like we're waiting for a tragedy. Often what forces the Alzheimer's patient or older person into skilled care is a great disaster. I've been living on pins and needles, and we've had several times over those years thought that was it. Mom goes into a diabetic coma almost. We thought that was it. I thought that was a rock bottom. Like, clearly Dad can't take care of her, and everybody sees this, and they need help. Nope, didn't happen. So I have felt like I'm a character in a horror movie waiting around the corner for the and now there is not that. Now we know, and there are practical things to tend to, like for my mother, like what kind of bed, and she's got bed sheets for him, and here's the chair he's taking, and practical concerns, all of which are just there to fill the space of the very deep sadness of we are saying goodbye to a person who's already here. And I mean, again, we've known that. I know my dad's not really here. Yuck. Sorry. I'm sorry, listeners. Golly, how many more times can I cry about Alzheimer's disease? It's really right there, though. It's right there on the surface because since I have come back, my mother has named the date. I mean, we know the date. We know the date, and we have a plan. And George's truck on the ready, you know? Yeah, so all of it, I think, makes me feel just normally sad and then, untethered and alone. I don't have a husband. I don't really have, one of my sons lives in France. The other one I just don't see much of. Don't have parents. Yeah, I think I've been feeling more that part of being divorced lately, which is interesting that waves that comes in because I've been telling you up until that minute, I'm not lonely. I'm not lonely at all. I love this. And I still don't want someone to come and live in my house. I'm still not looking for a boyfriend to spend a lot of time with at all. I cannot imagine. But, things like cooking, meals, and I guess family shit. Feeling pretty alone.
It makes things like distractions like making sourdough and practicing knife skills that much more important.
Sure does. And writing a little book, doing comedy. Yeah, it's funny how I did dig myself into a corner this week, I think. And I kept saying to myself, in fact, there was one night when I didn't get to go up and do a mic. I went to a thing where you get pulled out of a bucket, and I didn't get pulled out of the bucket, and I knew that was fine. Got to see my friends do well. And then I went to another mic that goes super late, and it just got super, super, super late. And this is a known thing. And I just went up to the host and said, I gotta go, you guys, I am tired. And they said, you can go up next. And I went, I really have to go. I'm actually exhausted. And I've got a day job now. I'm writing this book, So I didn't get to do it. And I really went to bed that night going, I need this as my therapy. I need to tell my jokes about Alzheimer's disease. I'm trying to find the funny. And I know that my comic friends out there are going to help me. They're going to help me actually go, this is the funniest part about that, or frame it this way. And I think that was a funny little misguided way for me to think I could process it. And it wasn't actually healthy. It's too soon to do jokes about Alzheimer's disease. For me personally, it just made me sit with Alzheimer's disease and think about it. And of course, the way you find the funny about it is you compare it to negative things. So I honestly think I had to kind of wash that out of my head. Like, golly, I thought that was a way to honor this phase of life. No. Distractions, better. Better to, better to watch some comedy about not that.
I would be interested to know when focusing on something becomes unhealthy and when it's better to be distracted or the reverse. Because sometimes if you live in distraction for too long, that's just as unhealthy as focusing on it with single-mindedly. So I don't know. Maybe.
Well, and there's that thought that any ruminating that your brain is doing over a project, over how to solve that nuts and bolts on your kickstand or how to learn knife skills, that is your brain, like an addiction, worrying itself. That is never healthy. That the best way to use your brain, right, would be in concentrated. When you need your brain, you need your brain. Hey, brain, come and help me write this book, do this thing, learn this skill, write this code, earn my money, and then turn off and don't worry about something. I have a notoriously too busy mind, and I think that's my escape, is like, I'm going to worry on that nut. I mean, I'm going to literally mind fuck a thing on purpose. I'm going to think about a design for a pot or how I'm going to machine that screw, right? Or how knives go. I'm going to on purpose wrestle. And I think that is very much the opposite of the turtles in the Aloha. That is not healthy for my brain. That is like a dog with a bone in an obsessive way. And so I think what I'm seeking more than that always, and we should be seeking, is the opposite. Like, not something to worry on, not something to obsess about, which I don't know. When I'm writing this book, when I'm illustrating this book, and doing the brain work of it. And then it becomes just physical work. And I'm kind of tracing. I'm working on a light board, tracing things. And I decided to make it all hand done because of reasons. And that's going to be the look of the book. So I'm doing that. And so, yeah, in the background, I want something not so much to like worry on, like a nut, like a learny thing. I kind of want, the truth is I probably just need music. And often that satisfies me too. I can put on a Spotify station or a Pandora station and that's fine. It's just funny that then I go, but I want a show. I want a show that I like, that keeps me compelled, and I haven't found it. I should try YouTube rabbit holes because I've literally never just done that. I've seen the results of it though, and it freaks me out sometimes because I've seen little children and they get into some bad things. Do you ever find yourself in a bad 4chan space?
Not
nope,
really.
Not with your knife skills. They don't go to the dark internet.
You've got to. You can let it, once your video ends, it'll autoplay another one. That's a setting. You can turn that off. I recommend that. And,
You recommend turning it off? So then you have to pick the next video?
Right. Click on things you're interested in and avoid things at all costs that you're not.
It will give you suggestions after a video? I really hardly ever use YouTube. Do you pay for YouTube?
No. I don't.
Do you watch it on your computer or your phone?
I watch it on my iPad.
I don't have that option. I should get one. Well, because like on my phone, if you don't pay for YouTube, it shuts off. You know what I mean?
When you close the app or whatever.
Yeah, or anything else can interrupt it, and that seems problematic to me. Anyway, so I maybe will try some YouTube. I'll try the French guy cooking and the machining guy. Interested in that. We'll see. I also just thought about it. Hey, I could easily watch pottery videos.
Absolutely.
But again, that feels like... Yeah. But see, that also feels like that's giving my brain too much stimulation. I mean, then that's just like, don't encourage me. You know how I am. I mean, because I already know where those videos go. People send me them and I go, don't encourage me. I know I can build a gas kiln in my backyard. I know I can raku fire with a weed burner. I know that if I put a car up on blocks and turn the wheels of the car with the motor running, I could throw pottery sideways. I know now that those things exist, but why would you send them to me? Why would you encourage me? That's my fear with things like knife skill videos, is that then I'm going to go, well, now all I can think about is knife skills. And now I must become, a sushi bento chef. And whatever they're called. The guy with the, shrimp in the pocket. I don't need to know that there are 100 folds in a chef's hat.
No, you don't. But you know what you do need? You need a break from bringing all this ruckus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like I took away your chill today. You came in so calm
totally
and peaceful. You chill? It's back? Yeah. All right. Well, great time to end.
Andrew, see, I'm the turtle in the water, and sometimes a shark comes. There's bad stuff.
Sometimes you have to paddle quickly.
I do, to get out of it. And Alzheimer's disease does suck, and I am very sad about it, and I am lonely, but look how chill I am.
Look at you.
Still fucking chill.
You're a regular old turtle.
By the way, can I just say that about that? I did experience that in Maui. Sorry, this is so emotional. But you know what? For both my parents, I am also so grateful because my dad, I'm especially thinking of dad now because of he's going into the home, right? So grateful on Maui for realizing I was the oldest in my family and there was never a question of what girls could or couldn't do. I love my relationship with the ocean, which is I am not afraid of it, but I respect the hell out of it. Same with the much a badass who can survive. I mean, I can do a lot of things and I'm not afraid of a lot of things because that's how my dad brought me up. I mean, the reason I loved and respect and can use tools, come on. I mean, that's great. And that's great. And I've been very aware of that. And that's lovely to me. But like, that's my dad's legacy is he was a fun hog. I mean, he was always the first one in the water, up the mountain, trying the bike trick, whatever, but also prudent and respectful of nature and always be prepared. Boy, I appreciate that. You know, that was a cool way to be raised. And every time I do pick up harvest, my mom too. I mean, obviously they raised us like that together. Every time I pickle a thing or fix a thing or go swim with a turtle and know that I am not afraid of so many things in this life, I am grateful to the way my father raised me. And I'm especially grateful that it was just there wasn't a gender thing. He never, there was never a minute of, you can't do that because you're a girl. I was his kid and he brought us along in life and I love that. Mm-hmm. And, He was a very gentle man. I mean, there were problems in our childhood and the way I was raised, but my father was also very gentle, and I rarely heard him say a cross word, and certainly never said anything mean to me or my siblings. And I am real grateful for that. I'm grateful for all of that. Just seems like those are things that would be more appropriate to say, at a eulogy, and we still have this person alive who's not quite there. It's sad, isn't it? But
It is.
But he taught me how to swim with the turtles, and I am grateful. So that's good. Be good to your families, everybody. Life is shorter than you think sometimes. All right, so Ruckusy, I'll be happier next week. Probably not. Still won't be happening. We're a couple of weeks away before Dad's moved, and then that'll be our new reality, and it's gonna be okay. All right, bye, Andrew.
Goodbye, Mrs. Filholm.